afternoon, happy Sunday, and welcome back into the Zig Zone, BG Falcon Media and Falcon Media Sports Network show with everything going on in the world of Bowling Green athletics. Once again, I'm your host, Holden Ruck. Happy to be here for you today, and I've got a room full of other talent from the Falcon Media Sports Network here to take you through what's been going on as we are 1 week through the 2025 and 2026 school year. So I'll start all the way over to my farthest on the left, Mr. Foster Ross Dice here. How you doing, Foster?
I'm doing good. It's good to be here.
We've got Andrew Smith in the room. Andrew, how are you?
Doing all right. Good to be here.
And freshly back from halfway across the country, Mr. Ben Korak.
Yeah, literally as fresh as it could get. Got off about 1:45 today, but a lot of winning going on in Bowling Green athletics this week, and it's good to talk about, especially good for us.
Absolutely, a really, really strong slate of competition for the Falcons across all of the active sports and some really, really solid results. So we are going to step away for just a moment for station identification, but don't go anywhere because when we come back, we're going to start talking about what everyone's talking about with the Falcon football team. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Zig Zone on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Are you a fan of BG Falcon Media and the Falcon Media Sports Network? You can show your support for BGSU student media by donating at the bottom of the page of stories on bgfalconmedia.com.
Hey, this is Dan Dockage. I used to coach here. Now I'm on TV. On radio, listen to WBGU FM 88.1 for the best in BGSU sports coverage.
Welcome back into the Zig Zone here on WBGU 88.1 FM. We're going to move past the station identification and go ahead and start talking about the Bowling Green football team. So last Thursday night, a weird, night to start a college football game, but kind of a norm in BG the last couple of years. But the Falcons kicked off their season against FCS competition, the Lafayette Leopards of Pennsylvania, and they were able to come away with the win, kind of a win you'd hope for in a 26-7 victory. And I just want to throw this around the room real quick. Just initial thoughts.
I thought it was a good win. I mean, sorry to cut you off there, Ben, but they played a very ground-heavy game like we expected them to, and it worked in their favor at the end of the game.
Yeah, I think if you had told us last week when we were talking about this that the game was going to be ground-heavy and their defense was going to probably be what shined from the whole thing, I think we'd be a little bit... like we wouldn't believe ourselves because you just look at the way the Falcons played and obviously the score is favorable, but just the offense in general. I mean, they only scored 2 touchdowns. One of them was on the kickoff return, which, by the way, kickoff return to lead off the game for the second year in a row is absolutely unbelievable stuff. Cameron Petaway, I believe, was the one, took it 98 yards, just like Justin Pegas did last season. But Markel Porter had the only other touchdown for the Falcons. Everything else was a field goal. So the offense kind of struggled against the FCS opponent, but you look at the run game was very strong. The offensive line was absolutely bullying Lafayette, which was good to see. The defense, I think, was probably the part that I was most surprised about. It looked like they had very good chemistry. It looked like they did a good job against Lafayette. Granted, Lafayette didn't have the greatest offense in the world, but they still looked pretty good for a defense that has a lot of new faces. And we were questioning last week how good they were going to be, and maybe that being the weak point of this football team through the first game. And it's good to see that was the best part.
Yeah, it was really an interesting showing. It's one thing that stuck out to me that I felt like we just missed out on pretty much game in and game out last year is, you'd have games where the defense is putting on a really strong performance, have games where the offense is putting on a really strong performance. Mm-hmm. I feel like it was a pretty consistently weak showing from the special teams unit last year, save for a few, isolated, fake punt, touchdown pass, or a kick return. But special teams were pretty much firing on all cylinders in the game. There was at least one, if not, I think a couple punts pinned inside the 10, specifically one down at the 2 during the game, a 56-yard field goal made, and the kick return touchdown, as we mentioned, as well as Petaway had another return that was about to midfield. And, I mean, just the success in all phases of that, I mean, I think really lays a groundwork for team success. And I was surprised to see that, because that felt like something that we severely lacked last year.
Well, I believe John Henderson, the punter, was actually on one of the watch lists for one of the Punter of the Year awards.
Ray
Jackson
Guy,
Cleather,
I think?
the Ray Guy, yeah. I couldn't remember the name. Jackson Cleather also was kind of money. I believe he made all 4 that he attempted. So yeah, I think. I always favor kind of the offensive line, special teams for how well a team is coached, because a lot of it's an effort thing. I think the O-line was very strong, and the special teams was also very strong, because a lot of the times you get players that are not everyday starters on the defensive or offensive side, however it may be, sometimes freshmen. But it looked pretty clear that they were well coached, that they fought very hard against Lafayette. And again, granted, an FCS school, but it's all about effort, and the effort was really there, and it paid dividends, especially for that special teams. I just feel good about this team going forward, considering that your defense and special teams is strong. The offense, you have pieces there. You can put it together with a good offensive line. I just feel really good about the team going forward.
Yeah. What stuck out to you for, if you were able to be there or able to look over the stats? How'd you feel about the quarterback play?
I felt like at times Pine looked a little uncomfortable, especially under pressure. But, there were times where he stepped up, made good throws. It might be more of a thing of seeing real-time teams, wearing different uniforms, throwing to different guys. But, there was times that he looked very uncomfortable in the pocket, very uncomfortable facing pressure from Lafayette. So I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I just didn't think that he looked like he was fully with it during the game.
Yeah, there was a couple moments when he tried to climb the pocket. He missed one of his first throws, which was a little dump down pass to a tight end. He missed it completely, and it was their first drive, and it was a kick. It was a punt then. So some of them, there was definitely some jitters out there for him, but I think part of that is they didn't let him throw the ball a lot, and I don't know how much that'll change with the offense we're going to run. This is a new team. This is a lot of new players. A lot of these players are playing together for the first time, besides in practice. So I'd like to see how they change, but 12 for 18 and 109 yards isn't terrible for the first game. But again, it is an FCS school, so you'd like to see that a little bit higher for the next time.
Yeah,
maybe.
The bit that just makes me a little bit nervous about it, you had very, very well played games against Texas A&M and Penn State last year. Both of those games, while there was a run game for Bowling Green, it was kind of bolstered on the back of the passing. Especially with Harold Fannin, how could it not? Just being able to target him. Bazak was also very strong. But, I mean, you go into Power 4 teams like Louisville and Cincinnati the next few weeks, I mean, their defensive line's going to stuff your run. I mean, even it's going to be a good test for the offensive line, but even your running backs, Chris McMillian, looked pretty good. They looked good, but not Terrion level and not close to the running attack that they might need. So you kind of need Drew Pine to step up a little bit. He was pretty efficient. I think that was mainly because they were playing the passing game as a second fiddle to the running game. Only 18 pass attempts to 44 rushing attempts. So, I mean, that should show you right there. Eddie George is a former running back, so obviously the running back's going to be probably the strongest portion of the offense. But the offense can be dangerous if you get Drew Pine really active downfield, especially like Foster mentioned, stepping up in the pocket a little bit better and evading pressure. He shouldn't get too much with how good his offensive line is. He shouldn't be too scared about the pressure that he's receiving.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this is the kind of thing that will, maybe just shore up a little bit as the season goes on. Because, I mean, from my vantage point, it really just felt like Pine wasn't very comfortable. And, like we said, new offense, new system, you understand those sorts of things. But, I mean, when you're coming from, this is a guy who was playing at Notre Dame, who quarterbacked a team that beat, at the time, number 4 Clemson, a team that's been, something of a dynasty in the late 10s to early 20s, and, couple national championships to their name as well. It's like almost a little bit disheartening. You shouldn't expect things to happen overnight, I suppose, but I feel like I expected him to kind of step in and more confidently, look more confident under center.
And I think it's a part of the thing is you expect him to look more confident against a team like Lafayette. Maybe he shows nerves in this upcoming game against Cincinnati or against a Power 4 conference opponent, but against Lafayette, it's just something you don't expect from a guy that's played on big stages and played for big teams and big programs before.
Yeah, is it like is your confidence going to get better after playing Cincinnati this coming week, or are you going to be a little bit more flustered, which is the unfortunate reality of it, especially if he was, a little bit uncomfortable playing this past week. I also do want to mention, you have pretty good wide receivers in R.J. Garcia and Finn Hogan. They totaled for 2 combined receptions and 52 yards. So that's, you have pretty solid wide receivers. It's not like he has nobody to throw to. And I'd also like to see, deeper threat. I think the longest for Drew Pine is 25 yards downfield. That's not really that long considering how Bowling Green's played the last couple of years. Granted, new coaching staff and everything, but you're not going to be able to compete against Power 4 teams if the deepest pass you're throwing is 25 yards downfield. You're not going to be able to play smash mouth football against an ACC opponent.
And I feel like we're kind of fighting demons of last year a little bit to that degree. I'd really like to see, just more targets even for, especially those 2 receivers. There's, I don't have really any doubts that they have the talent. We've seen R.J. Garcia have a couple strong games, and we've seen Finn Hogan make circus catches. We know these are guys that can play. It just feels like there's no volume. And I'm not saying that's necessarily something that I expect to see increase as, it's Eddie George. I think there's, from an uneducated standpoint, a little bit of an expectation that, hey, they're going to run the ball and they're going to run it a lot. Yeah. And that's not necessarily, he didn't exclusively rely on the run, in previous offense at Tennessee State. So I'm not saying that's the expectation here either. It's week 1 and we're overreacting to everything. I'm really curious to see how this offense develops because it feels like kind of one-dimensional right now.
Yeah, I guess there was just a little bit. I wish there was a little bit more experimentation. Like maybe by the time you were up going into the second half, I understand you have to make sure you get the win and nothing's guaranteed, but you kicked 3 field goals while running the ball in the second half. Like maybe you throw some downfield, try and get a big chunk play out of it and not, continue to play smash mouth football in the second half against an FCS team. But, maybe that's something they're going to pull out against Cincinnati. It's still early, and like Holden said, we are still probably overreacting to this whole thing. And I do think Drew Pine will get more confident. It's not like he hasn't played teams like Cincinnati or Louisville before. He knows what to expect. He might have a different team, but he can certainly straighten himself out.
Yeah, I would have liked to just see some play action passes. A lot of the stuff that we did right into, if they know you're going to run it down, right into play action, open one up, let it fly deep, just let it go.
Might as well.
Yeah, it can't hurt you if you're running it that often. I don't see why they couldn't have done it versus Lafayette.
Yeah, it was 23-7, like going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
like air one out.
Yeah, give it a shot.
You throw a pick, your defense has been good all day.
Yeah, the defense was great.
You can trust your defense there.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see, but you watch some of the other games this weekend. Ohio State, Texas, both brand new quarterbacks for these teams, and they ran it a lot as well. So I wonder if that's just a week 1 thing. We want to really see what we have on the ground for later games.
Possibly.
I thought you had something. Okay. I really like what you're saying about the play action too. I just think when you're, like you said, that committed, feels like an entire dimension that they didn't even try to tap into. And there is an element too where I think I'd love to get in the mind of a coach going into these week 1 FCS games. We've talked about for a long time how, little stock we put into the non-conference because ultimately it doesn't really matter for the outcome of your season. Mm-hmm. As a head coach, I'm curious what you're looking. I'm sure there's, more dynamic and exciting and creative play calling available and prepared than we're ever going to see against FCS competition. And I feel like that's something you can't discount either. You're not going to empty the bag of tricks on a team that, you're not expecting to score more than 7 on you. And
I think that was part of the magic of last year a lot, not just because Harold Fannin, but across the entire offense, you did see riskier plays, and a lot of them paid off. And again, the team was better, and I understand you have a good offensive line, and you want to utilize that and run the ball, but you got to take risks once in a while. You can't just sit back on your heels and expect to, you have teams on the schedule that you're not going to be expected to beat, and you got to be able to go there and win games. You got Toledo later on, who's a very good team. You got Ohio as well. You got to be able to put up good performances against them. I just, taking no risks at all might not be the way you want to go in those games.
No, absolutely, I agree, and I think that as a brand new head coach, it shows with a basically brand new lineup of players. It shows a lot of trust between coach and players and coach and offense. If you're pulling out maybe not trick plays, but more play action, more motion plays, and just trying to get something going. And you're 100% right, Ben. You're not going to beat bigger and tougher schools if you're not trying new things and surprising them.
And a school like Bowling Green in a conference like the MAC with a first-year head coach and a host of transfers, there's going to be growing pains. So again, we can week one react all we want, but at the same time, at some level, I feel like you would like to see more than we did because it's an FCS team. At the end of the day, win's a win. No Bill Belichick pun intended, but we're on to Cincinnati. But looking at them, I think that's going to be an interesting matchup. I can't say that I'm necessarily expecting the Falcons to go out and win, or even I don't know how close they'll play them, but I will say Cincinnati does not feel like a Penn State or an A&M of last year at all, especially looking at their first outing of the season, a 17-20 loss to Nebraska.
Yeah.
Not a powerhouse in the Big Ten at all.
No, I think Nebraska is actually going to be a very good Big Ten team this season. Kind of following the hype a pretty good amount on them. So I think Cincinnati, that's a pretty good loss, just a 3-point loss. But I think we're more looking toward the Louisville game if you're looking towards an upset. I think this one's going to be a very good gauge, though, for how good that offensive line and that defense is, because you're going to be going against one of the better defensive lines that you're going to have all season for the offensive line, and the defensive line is going to be going up against one of the better offenses that you're going to have all year. So I think it's a very good test. I don't think anybody's expectation should be going out and beating Cincinnati or even being close. But this is definitely going to be a game where it's going to be a good gauge. You're going to have an FCS school, and then you're going to have the Big 12 school as well, and it's just going to be a good test on where you're at, just a little thermometer for how good this team actually is, and hopefully you can scrape up more than a touchdown and a couple of field goals. And
in particular, I think if we come out of next Saturday's game, come on here on next Sunday, and we can say special teams took care of business, the offense was efficient, the defense didn't give up too many big things. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, for these early season power conference games, that's a success. You'd like to get a win at some point, but at the end of the day, if you're doing the right things, you're focused on MAC play ultimately. Yeah, I mean, every mid-major coach will tell you that when it's at this point in the schedule, your job is not to go out there and win. Your job is just to get better before you get to MAC play and before you're really trying to make a MAC championship. I don't think Eddie George, his belief is any different. He mentioned national championship in his opening press conference. I don't think that's on tap for this season. So I think MAC championship is kind of what's on his mind. And to get there, you just have to play tough. You just have to learn about your identity and keep learning through the first 4 weeks of the season before you get into very tough Ohio and Toledo games as well. I think I'm honestly watching them. I think trying to upset Louisville could be on tap. I think there's a very distinct possibility if you get the offense rolling, the defense plays the way it did against Lafayette, and the special teams, you got all three plug in at the same time. That's a very tough train to stop. I'm interested, Ben. Do you base that more on the team, Louisville versus Cincinnati, or the time frame, prior to that game? You know what I'm saying? I think it's going to be more Bowling Green's just going to learn more about itself. So it's more about Bowling Green's own identity than that team itself. Okay. Yeah, I seem to remember. I can pull it up and look at it right now. It's coming off of James Madison. I frankly do not know anything about James Madison football this season. But either way, I could see them, Louisville kind of waxed Eastern Kentucky 51-17. I could see them coming out and getting a good win against James Madison, maybe taking Bowling Green a little bit lighter. I'm assuming James Madison's a better football team than the Falcons are. And if that's true, I could see Louisville taking it light, and I could see an Eddie George football team kind of smacking them in the mouth a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all. And Louisville's got Pitt the next week, which is an ACC opponent, and you're not going to want to drop that game either. So maybe that little warm-up game that you have of Bowling Green going into Pitt might be able to stunt Louisville a little bit as well. Yeah, that's an opponent they're definitely going to be looking pretty or putting a high amount of focus into. Yeah. I mean, that was a strong team for the 7-8 weeks last year, till they kind of fell off towards the end. But Eli Holston, good quarterback there. So yeah, I like what you're saying. I think I'm more on board now. I was a little hesitant because I know Louisville was definitely a better team than Cincinnati last year. But as far as Bowling Green's own development, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, strictly going on what Bowling Green has to do, because I think no matter how good the teams are, Louisville and Cincinnati are going to play the same way. I mean, they're not really going to bring out anything special against the Bowling Green. They're going to save it for Pitt the next week, or for Cincinnati, they're going to have used it against Nebraska, who's a team that they were within a touchdown of beating. So I don't think you're going to see anything special. And if you're able to come away or come into the game with something special on your own end, I think that'll be a step in the right direction for Eddie George. And getting an upset win in his first year would be big. I think they'd get a lot of people on board for his process.
And I think the upset win is something that Bowling Green's kind of developed a little bit of a reputation for. Not, they weren't able to. Well, no, I mean, I guess they got an upset win over Toledo last year. Not that that's the big out of conference.
Yeah, but they also
you look at the Minnesota of recent.
Yeah. But you also have the reputation of a homecoming loss. So and you're trying to break out of that one as well.
Well, we've got plenty to unpack on that one, especially with the opponent they'll be matching up with, a familiar face from the last few years. That'll be one to talk about for sure. But we'll
September 13th.
Yeah, September 13th, 5 p.m. That'll be a good one. But we'll put that on the back burner for now. Bowling Green football will continue their season this upcoming Saturday, September 6th, when they travel to Cincinnati to play the Bearcats at 3:30 p.m. You can check out bgfalconmedia.com for coverage on that. And we will also have more info on those socials like Twitter, X, regarding broadcast.
And a broadcast, I believe, on Falcon Radio. Probably going to be 30 minutes prior to game time, because we're doing the pregame shows now.
Pregame show.
And I was just told by Lucas Kleinmeyer that's going to be Sean Connolly and Lucas Kleinmeyer on the call for that as well. On Falcon Radio, streaming on bgfalconmedia.com.
Cincinnati native, approximately, Lucas Kleinmeyer with a little bit of a homecoming trip there. That'll be a good one for sure.
Kentucky native. He's going to be mad that I said
that. Oh, that'll clip good. Before we wrap up talking about football, though, I want you can be... it can be bland, it can be bold. I want one prediction from each of you about the upcoming game, BG versus Cincinnati. My prediction, I'm going to keep it simple. I think that Jackson Cleaver hits another 55-plus yarder.
I'd like to see another kickoff return touchdown.
Now we're asking a lot.
I don't
think we went from 0 to 100.
We're going all the way.
I checked this when it happened. I believe it's the first time in college football history that a team has run back their home opener kickoff 2 straight seasons for a touchdown.
Yeah, I sent something to Sean that it was like in the 70s Notre Dame did it, but I believe that was season opener, and they were on the road one season and home the next season. I don't remember exactly. He said it on the broadcast. I made sure I sent that to him when I was watching in North Dakota. But yeah, I mean, how often does that happen? How cool is it to see that?
And I mean, Petaway looked great on other returns too, so it's not out of the question that he does it against Cincy. It's just very unlikely. Also because the Bearcats will probably prepare for that.
And, maybe a little bit.
Well, it's just teams. You need one crease in those kind of things.
That is true. One good block.
That's all you need.
One good block.
I honestly, Holden took my prediction a little bit. I thought that he was going to probably hit another 50-yarder, but 55-yarder, hey. That would be amazing. Just a kicker upgrade from last season to this season has been phenomenal through week 1. I'd say for my prediction, I think kind of a bold one. More, I'm gonna say there's gonna be equal number passing and rushing attempts.
Ooh, I like that.
Wow. You think they're going to overcompensate from?
I think they're going to hit a big switch and overcompensate for the lack of pass attempts.
Do you think Drew Pine can handle that?
I have no idea. I would say no, but I'll hold out hope that he can. I do think that Foster is 100% right that we're going to see more rollouts and more.
Our sample size is small too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's not like we have anything to debate. He didn't play last year,
and I feel like Eddie George is going to want to, like you're saying, like he saw what the run game was made of this past week. He might hit a complete switch and see what the pass game is made of.
I wouldn't hate it for sure.
Yeah, if you're going to try a pass game, go up against a bigger team. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, at least there's a chance for big chunk.
Yeah, you can get.
I mean, running the ball, there's a limited chance that for you to take a chunk play. You know, I mean, 2 years ago against Michigan, we had big chunk beginning of the game that gave BG a lead. Like, I mean, why not risk it?
You're also probably going to be down more in the game, which forces you to pass the ball more often.
Yeah, I can see it happening.
I like that take, actually.
I can see that.
And those are those kinds of games, too, where, you know, to be competitive, I mean, you're never going to ground and pound and physically impose on those, you know, power teams as much. I mean, we saw that with A&M and Penn State and Michigan. You know, on some level, you got to work through the air. So I really like that. It's a good call.
Mine, I think, like you said, ground and pound, I think the offensive line is going to do fantastic against Cincinnati. I think they're going to really show maybe best offensive line in the MAC, or at least up for the discussion. I think BG loses by at least 2 scores, and I think that's a very good thing. And I think it's a very good sign of where the team's going to be at. That's just my prediction. Obviously, I hope differently, but I just think that seems to follow after, you know, a game that is mildly disappointing in Lafayette. You felt like you could have done better. I don't think they're going to come out against Cincinnati and really like make it a 1-score game or make it a game that you feel like they could have won. I think it's going to be as would be expected for a mid-level MAC team against probably a mid-level Big 12 team. So that's just my prediction. And again, it's all about how they play. It's not about getting the wins, you know. So if they play well, that offensive line grinds. They learn some things from that game. I'm not mad that if they lose by 2-3 scores.
It'll definitely be fun to revisit once we know what happens. But until then, we'll have to just wait on it. So stay tuned to bgfalconmedia.com as well as Falcon Radio and all our socials of @BG_FMSN on Twitter X to stay engaged with everything going on with the upcoming football games. We're going to go ahead and pivot a little bit. We're going to step away for a station promo real quick. And when we come back, we're going to start talking a little bit about the men's soccer team. And we've got another one-on-one in the Zig Zone coming up with men's soccer's Trace Terry. So don't go anywhere. You're still listening to the Zig Zone on WBGU 88.1 FM.
BGSU Volleyball starts their trip in West Lafayette, Indiana, with a very good Kansas team who just went toe-to-toe with the number 2 in the nation, Penn State, just a couple of weeks ago. Make sure to tune into Falcon Media Sports Network's Ben Korak on WBGU 88.1 FM, beginning at 3 p.m.
Ever wanted to hear what a BGSU coach or player says after a game? Head over to the BG Falcon Media YouTube channel to watch post-game press conferences for all BGSU home volleyball, soccer, football, hockey, and basketball games.
If you ever miss the Zig Zone on Sundays from 4 to 6 p.m. on WBGU 88.1 FM, or just want to re-listen to the program, each show is posted in full on bgfalconmedia.com with timestamps so you can skip ahead to your favorite part.
Welcome back to the Zig Zone here on WBGU 88.1 FM. We're going to go ahead and move along to talking about a little bit of men's soccer because the men's soccer team is also in swing. I'll do a little bit of a different start than I think maybe some people who watched them last year would have expected. They played Butler right shortly after this show went on the air last week, actually. Came out with a 0-1 loss. And I don't think that's, I don't know if they necessarily expected to go into that and just win. But, I think being shut out in any game, especially when you're a team that is, pretty noted for the offensive production, especially associated with, Trace Terry and Bennett Painter, the guys, we got used to talking about last year. I think it's kind of hard to not be a little bit disappointed about that result. But Enzo Heel made a career high 8 saves in the competition, but they did give up a goal to Butler in the 75th minute, and ultimately, that was the difference maker there. But then on Thursday, the 28th, a little bit of a different story. They played Wright State at Wright State and looked a little bit more on track. Trace Terry had 2 goals. Bennett Painter had 1. They didn't allow a goal. 3-0 victory, and kind of back where they're supposed to be. And the first thing that sticks out to me about this, I don't know how familiar you guys are with last year's team, but seeing a keeper putting up, and it's never just the keeper, the defense obviously contributes, but putting up a shutout at all against, comparable or close to comparable competition always feels, optimism inspiring, I think.
I think he'll played very well against Wright State. Obviously throwing up a 0 is very good. I think that honestly the defense and the players on the field, not the keeper, kept Bowling Green in the Butler game. Anybody that knows, Andrew Schaefer left the game 12 minutes in. He took, I believe it was a red card on the goal line because he went to block one of the shots he stopped it from going into the goal with his hand, which is a red card disqualification. And Enzo Heel just made a bad play on the ball, which could have resulted in a goal. Now they did end up losing the game later on, did not make the greatest play on the goal that was scored by Butler, but Bowling Green played a man down for 78 minutes and played essentially even soccer with Butler, who's no slouch team. So I actually think a 1-0 loss there for Bowling Green isn't really too bad. He did play better, I believe, against Wright State. And again, when you have, as Lucas Kleinmeyer, our soccer beat, likes to say, the best scoring striker duo in the NCAA with Trace Terry and Bennett Painter, I mean, you throw up a 0 and it's a guaranteed win. Somebody's going to get a goal eventually, much less 3. Terry got 2, Painter got 1 and an assist as well. Anthony Hernandez 2 goals or 2 assists, the midfielder. Or 1 assist, I should say, midfielder. Andrew Schaefer didn't even get an assist off of that, and he's been their highest scoring midfielder, one of their options as well. So I just think all around, you could say a disappointing start because they lost to Butler, who they probably shouldn't have. They tied IU Indy, who they probably should have beat. But the last 2 games, I think, have been very strong performances from the strikers and the midfielders, and the D especially played very well in that Butler game. I'm just kind of impressed. I think when they clean some things up, they'll be in pretty solid shape as long as the keeper can stay at a pretty solid level.
Yeah, and their offense has started off a little slow. This is Terry's first goal of the season in this Wright State game. So these are his first 2 goals, and this is Painter's 3rd of the season already. So in that first game against IU Indy, they doubled him the entire game. So that is, at every moment, it was only Painter that was able to get open runs. So Terry had nothing. I did not see, obviously I didn't go to Butler to watch the game. Yeah. So I couldn't tell you how they defensively played him.
Yeah, ESPN Plus came in handy.
Yeah.
They were getting on the nerves of Trace Terry a little bit. Like toward the end, Trace got I believe it was a yellow card, and he almost got a second one. So he was pretty close to the very end there, clearly getting frustrated, trying to make something happen offensively. But they still generated offensive chances a man down. Yeah. With Painter and Trace Terry, Andrew Schaefer did some pretty good things in that Butler game. I just think it's all been impressive all around. The offense is something to fear. Yeah. All the teams know it, and the team's obviously good enough to be able to handle it and score anyways. So, like last year, it's all going to come down to the defense and the goaltending for how well you're going to be long term this season.
And they've looked good. I mean, that defense has looked really good. It's bent plenty, but it has not broke like you want to say.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the decisions, it doesn't look too good, but you actually watch the game. You watch that Butler game, and you're like, dang, like this team actually hung in. Yeah, in a game that they could have just folded very easily and been down 2-0, in the first half, and just been like, all right, we're down a man, never going to come back. Mm-hmm. But they were zeros until the 75th minute or something like that. Mm-hmm. So
they stick with it.
How impressive is that?
It's extremely
impressive. Almost the whole game, man down.
Yeah, no, it's extremely impressive. And the thing is, how long is opposing team's defense is going to be able to double Terry? because you're not going to be able to do that.
You
every
can't
game.
double two.
You can't double.
You can't
two.
double.
Yeah.
Painter and Terry.
Yep. So you get a pick. Who do you want? If you want to double Terry, you're going to let Painter go 1-on-1 with players. If you want to double Painter, you're going to let Terry go 1-on-1 with players.
Yeah.
It's a pick your own poison kind of deal.
Yeah. And they also have made it very tough to get the ball out of the defensive zone too. They were doing it against Butler a lot. They were playing very aggressive.
Yes, they have very much.
In hockey, it's called a forecheck. I don't know what it's called in soccer, but they were playing very aggressively up, and they were just having a tough time getting it out.
They've extended that defense all the way up.
And again, you're playing with 9, so and without a midfielder, and they're still pressing and they're still playing well.
Yeah.
So I was just really impressed. I just like the direction of this men's soccer team. I do think goaltending is going to be the story of the season because you had Brendan Graves last year, who's obviously incredibly solid. Hopefully he can get, hopefully he can get a little bit better. I think the Right State's the first step toward that direction. But Michigan's going to be a good test for this team tomorrow in Ann Arbor, and then Michigan State after at home. I think those are two very good tests, very good teams. Kind of gauge where this team is, both in the NCAA and how well that they can do when it comes to Missouri Valley Conference as well, which also is a very good conference.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to see the results for those two, the Michigan and Michigan State. And Kentucky right after, yeah.
Goodness. I mean, that's Michigan State, and Kentucky.
Yeah, this is a great place for him to go because this is his first year starting at a Division I level. So this is all for him is growing until Missouri Valley Conference.
I mean, you're swinging with a donut on, and then you're taking it off for Bellarmine and DePaul, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, what better way to grow as a player than a 3-game stretch of Michigan, Michigan State, and Kentucky?
Yeah.
And those are those all on the road too?
Michigan State's at home.
Yeah.
Okay.
We get Michigan State at home, but yes, Michigan and Kentucky are on the road.
Yeah.
That'll be a tough stretch.
I mean, that's the stretch right there. If you can win, if you take 2, you might be in the realm of team to beat. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with Drake and Western Michigan and the other MVC teams, but you can win 2 out of those 3, and you got 2 Power 4 conference wins. I mean, that's some impressive stuff. And you got to think also they were in the running for NCAA seeding last year. You also got to think about that. Those are wins that go toward that. Mm-hmm. Plus, I'm sure the committee knows that they have 2 of the best scorers in the nation and the best scoring duo in the nation. So it's all going together to just playing longer once the regular season ends.
And I think there's like a little bit of narrative help there too, because I feel like it's kind of well accepted in the soccer circles that like the MVC comparatively is a much better soccer conference than like the MAC is for some of the other sports.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like especially if you like compare it to like the MAC in football, you're never going to see a MAC school getting some at-large bid.
I mean, what would be a MAC comparison to Western Michigan and the dominance that they've had over a long period of time? There probably isn't a very good one.
No.
So, I mean, just that alone. But it makes it fun, and it makes it more impressive that this team is able to compete just like last year, an own goal away from the championship match, and it's very impressive to watch this team. And how fun is it to watch Bennett Painter and Trace Terry?
It's a treat. You're going to see something crazy every game. I mean, Terry takes these extremely long shots that are on goal most of the time, and one gets through, it's game over for the other team.
And it's so funny too, like how unhinged Trace Terry is.
Yeah.
And then how like calm gentleman Bennett Painter is.
And it's just so fun to watch. That's such a great duo to have as your strikers.
They complement each other in such great ways.
Exactly.
And I feel like Trace Terry, he takes these wild shots, like deep range a lot of the time, and I feel like Painter, opposing to that, like compliments him well. His footwork is phenomenal. His way he handles the ball is
clean up
great.
Guy.
They're not only their personalities but their playing styles also complement one another, and that's what makes them so great.
It's really fun. I can't remember a time that like there's been a duo like that. Like I know not every sport lends itself specifically to like duos. I mean, you could argue anybody throwing the ball to Harold Fannin, but that's kind of a cheating.
I could throw the ball to Harold Fannin. He'd probably,
But the pairing of the two of them, the success that they have working off each other, really is special and feels kind of different from anything that we've seen in a hot minute. Before the semester started, I actually had the opportunity to sit down and talk with Trace Terry about the season ahead, expectations, and other things going on with the season starting. So, without further ado, here is Trace Terry one-on-one in the Zig Zone. All right, so we've got Trace Terry from the men's soccer team here for the Zig Zone segment. Trace, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Talk to me a bit about the offseason. How's that been going?
It's good. I've been up here all summer. I've been playing for the Toledo Villa, and we had to spend a lot of time with some guys that have also been playing with the team, and my coach has also been up here, so I've had, good chats about it, and I've been looking forward to my last ride here. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm really interested in the Toledo Villa. Tell me more about, the kind of play experience you're getting there compared to the college game.
Yeah. So I would say a lot of summer teams, it's a lot different from college, I'd say. And I've played at Toledo Villa all 4 summers for me, and I've loved it. I've always gotten something out of it. The main focus for me is just to get goals there and keep my fitness and stay focused for the fall.
Do you feel like you learn any things there through that playing that you're maybe not experiencing when you're doing, the NCAA level?
Yeah, I think Toledo Villa helped me a lot with my leadership role. This past year I was named captain, so it's helped me a lot. And this year I was named captain for VG, so I feel like I'm prepared and ready.
And that's definitely an important role for you to be stepping into. Some big losses in the upper end of the classes, Kyle Cusimano and Brendan Graves, for example, those guys, departing the team. So, what does that look like for you to have to, really be relied on as a leader now?
Yeah, those guys, I've looked up those guys ever since I was a freshman, and definitely miss those guys, but they left a part of them on me. And, every year there's a new team, and we have half our team is gone this year. So, me and my other 2 captains, I think we're ready, and we're ready for the challenge.
Yeah, and every year you learn something new, as you're saying. Take me through last season a little bit. What kind of things were new to you? What did you learn, and what do you take away from last season looking ahead to this last one?
Yeah, last season, obviously it was a great season, just fell short, but something that I took away from it was just the passion that we had and how tight our group was. And that's definitely something to implement into this season, and I think we're doing that right now.
And how are you making sure that you do that? With the departure of many faces, you're sure to bring in, a lot of new names as well. And how, as an upperclassman, can you make sure that that team's fitting together and maintaining that chemistry?
Yeah, I think, the little details what we do at practice, like moving goals, getting the balls, we all got to do that as a team. And even off the field, we're all together, and we're just trying to build that culture until the season starts and hopefully make a good run postseason.
Absolutely. And when you talk about building that culture, it's the kind of thing where you feed off of each other's energies and the community. And it really felt like last year, this team had a lot of people really rallying around it, things like that signature win against Western Michigan, making a Missouri Valley Conference tournament run that, I would think a lot of people maybe didn't know you guys had in you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you attribute that kind of community rallying around you?
Yeah, being here every year, the community has been the biggest part for me. Everyone's just so connected with the team, and I've met so many people, built so many connections, and it's just awesome knowing when I step on the field, especially at Cochran, that I'm fighting for the team and also the community.
And talk about fighting for the team. Last year, a big part of what was, the primary fighting for your team was just the overall volume and success of you and your teammate Bennett Painter, kind of a breakout for both of you in a lot of ways. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, great year between us two. Had a lot of fun, but I give a lot of the credit to the team because, we're just the 2 guys putting the balls away. And, in big games, it was definitely harder to show up, but we made it happen. And, that's the plan this year, and hopefully more people can step up as well.
And talking about more people stepping up, looking at the rest of that team, a lot of strong defense from the team last year. And, as I said, again, you look at guys like Cusimano, Graves, those departures leave not necessarily question marks, but, big important roles that were being filled by them. What are you seeing from some of the younger guys or guys stepping into new roles?
Yeah, so the guys that have been here obviously know how big those shoes are to fill, and I think everyone's willing to step up, and including the new guys that are brought in, they know how big of a season it is for us, and for most of them, it's their last ride too. And a lot of guys on our team are trying to make it professional, and I think everyone has the same goal here, that this is our last ride and we got to give it everything.
And talking about making the season as big as you can, you make a really remarkable Missouri Valley Conference tournament run, fall just a little bit short. Is that where the expectation still is get that tournament?
Yeah, we want to win the league, obviously, and then we want to get back at the tournament. And I think there's a lot of guys returning that really want it back, and frankly, there's no one on the team that's won any hardware for the team yet, so we want it.
And the Missouri Valley Conference is definitely, a conference that it's not in like that Power Four conversation, but it definitely, is a stronger conference than it might get respect for. Do you look around the conference and see people like, oh, this is definitely going to be a hard one, or do you go in every time with, we can beat these guys?
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between conference games and out of conference games, and conference games are just a different type of play style. There's more grit into it, and I think everyone on the team besides the new guys know that, and I think it's going to be exciting when the conference games roll around.
Absolutely. Pivoting outside of the actual, BG schedule in the conference a little bit, you personally were selected in the third round by Seattle in the MLS Super Draft. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's been a goal since I was a little kid, and it was very exciting and very grateful that they picked me. But, this season I'm not really focused on that. I am more focused on winning for this program, for the coaches, and it's awesome to know that I have a path after, but I wanna get some rings.
And how's that the kind of thing that you can, obviously it's a big deal. Like you said, it's a dream of yours. How do you really focus on putting that on the shelf for now and, focusing on the first goal ahead?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a point in my life where I will be a pro, and going after this season, I plan to play like a pro and treat everything in my life like a pro.
Absolutely. Looking back at last season again, obviously it's going to be frustrating to come up short, even despite as great of a run as you guys had. How do you channel that into something productive and something to build off of instead of just, ruminating on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows that feeling. I mean, it was one of the worst feelings of my life, is coming short in that tournament game. And I think we're using all that energy to put it into everything we do, even off the field.
Last year, you had 12 goals and 29 points for the team. Really, really stellar numbers there. How do you think that your numbers, relate with the team's success? Do you think it's a pretty linear thing of, the more you're scoring and capitalizing on those opportunities? Do you find yourself ever falling into roles where it's like, okay, maybe I need to be, kind of assisting it more? I mean, what's that look like to you? What kind of role specifically do you think the best version of Trace Terry fits?
Yeah, I mean, every game's different. Every team is shaped differently, and I think I do a pretty good job of knowing where I need to be, and if that's where the goals come, that's where the goals come. And I think me and Bennett we both played our roles very well, and that's what got us a lot of success.
Absolutely. What would be one thing that you're really optimistic about with some of the newcomers for this team?
Honestly, this is probably one of the most impressive freshman classes I've seen, including the transfers that are, they got one more year left. Obviously trust the coaching staff very well, and these are great guys and awesome humans that I've loved to get to know them.
Absolutely. Have you noticed, are the newcomers, specifically like any freshmen, having difficulty with that high school to college learning curve, or have they adapted pretty well?
My freshman year, I can say I struggled with it a little bit. I was a little homesick here and there, but honestly, I think these guys have done a great job at adjusting to it, and they haven't played their first college game yet, which will happen. But yeah, other than that, I think they're doing a great job.
Something a lot of the athletes that I've talked to say is that it's really important to them to be enjoying it.
Yes.
You put so much time and effort into it that if it becomes chore-like or like a job, then it makes it harder to be consistently excelling at it. How do you keep that balance of soccer being, something you enjoy, but keeping it like fun and positive?
Yeah, I mean, everything we do, I believe that you have to have fun to do what you love. These guys, these new guys, they haven't adjusted to the level yet, and they're getting there every day. They're getting better and better. But I think off the field, we make sure we have a lot of fun, and even on the field, we make sure we're just a tight group. And it can get competitive and nippy sometimes, but other than that, we have a blast.
Absolutely. Is there anything in your day-to-day life that you do, any hobbies that take you away for a little bit, or anything that helps you kind of keep your soccer focus where it is, and also kind of keep your mental in a good place?
Yeah. So I'm with these guys every day. I live with 6 other teammates, and everything I do, I always try to have one of my teammates come with me. But there's little things we do, like even like video games or watching a show together. Everything we do is you want to do it together.
Do you think that togetherness directly parallels the kind of on-field chemistry that you need to maintain?
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you think is really stand out about this team at this point in the off season? Anything you're, specifically excited about looking forward here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this team a lot. I think there's a lot of hungry guys on this team, and I'm excited to get our first game and the other games ahead.
And you look ahead at your schedule, typical conference opponents as well as, the potential to make a tournament berth. What is the one thing you're most looking forward to? Like, what if you had to pick one, game or appearance, what would it be?
That's a tough one because, obviously the trophy games are the best, but you got to win games to get to those trophy games. So I honestly, if I had to answer it now, it'd be IUPUI because that's our first game. And then after, whoever we play next.
That was Trace Terry one-on-one in the Zig Zone, and I really, really liked just the whole headspace he seemed to be at. He said two things that really stuck out to me. Number one, he described their loss in the MVC tournament last year as one of the worst feelings of his life. And, if that's not a guy who's hungry for a little bit of redemption this season, I don't know what is. And the other thing he said that really, really stuck out to me was, he really focuses on just, kind of filling where he needs to. Everybody looks to this team, and they look to Painter and Terry as these guys scoring goals. But, they're not just one-dimensional players. They're not just putting the ball in the net. And I think it's very valuable to the team that he doesn't just see himself as I'm the striker, scoring the goals, putting it in the net. I mean, I think it really bodes well for them that, their senior leader, future pro is, still coming into it with that mindset and hungry. And I think the rest of the guys are really embracing that as well.
Well, I mentioned before, especially just what he brings, two different kinds of leadership with him and Painter. He brings a level of intensity that's probably unmatched by a lot of players here at Bowling Green across all sports. And then you have Bennett Painter, who's just so almost buttoned up soccer player. He kind of keeps Trace Terry on track, and you need both of them. You can't have, it's good to have both, and you should have both, and you need both. That's ideal. And when you add the amount of scoring that they have, the defense that they display, and just the grip that them and the coaching staff has on the rest of the team, is just it's a recipe for success. And you just love to hear the confidence coming out of Trace, coming out of last season. That's a winner's mindset. Just remembering that feeling from last year, everybody would be gut wrenched. I was gut wrenched after watching that game. So, nobody forgets that feeling, and they're better for it. And I think you'd be the first one to say it.
Absolutely, and I think that the fact that he feels so strongly about that loss, it's gonna, him being a leader on this team, him being the person that he is, everybody on the team is gonna feel the same way, and everybody's gonna come into this season with even more intensity and wanting to make up for that loss, and to be able to go out and win this year. And we may see him and Painter go out there and score even more goals as a duo than they did last year. We were just talking about how they were approaching 30 goals. This year they may clear it. We'll see what happens.
And this is a duo and a team at this point, despite losses in the off season. There's some experience, there's some caliber, and there's some expectation. That's why I'm really, really excited for this next slate. This week, tomorrow, Michigan hosting Michigan State on Friday, and then about a week off until homecoming weekend when they play Kentucky. But I think those are going to be, even if they don't, matter, as we've kind of talked about with the out of conference games, they do matter because I think you can see I think you can see strong results from this team, and I think the expectation within the locker room is there too.
I was gonna say it's not even an argument, for teams of the caliber that they're at, especially compared to the rest of MVC, they do matter, and for teams that are competing for NCAA tournament as well, even if they don't win the MVC, trying to get there, they do definitely matter. So you're going into the rest of the games for the season, and what's essentially must-win situations. And even if it's not must-win, it's you greatly benefit from winning every single game on the way out. There's not a game that you can take off, and there's not a game that you should take off, really.
And there's not a game that you want to take off.
No. You want to take a win against the Wolverines or the Spartans. You want to take a win at home on Orange Wave Night against Michigan State. How much would that rock back in the Cochrane? And to be able to take one of Michigan and Kentucky as well, that would just be that would be sick. That would put this team in such a good position confidence-wise, and especially if you add a couple of goals to Terry and Painter, it only makes your case better.
can you think about, the narrative, the energy around this team if they're able to come away with, a draw, a convincing one, or even a win in Ann Arbor tomorrow, and then to come back against the Spartans to a home crowd Orange night? I mean,
yeah,
we're talking about, maybe the most momentum that a team could have starting that hot. I don't think that's a ridiculous thing to say. And
yeah, I mean,
it could happen.
Michigan currently 2-0-1. MSU is 1-1. So both teams probably with easier schedules to start, not doing too bad. But I mean, I have a hard time believing there's a lot of mid-major teams that are better than Bowling Green. So you're probably going to get the toughest mid-major competition that you can get from Michigan and Michigan State, and back-to-back, you get a win against Ann Arbor, and you're staring Michigan State in the eyes at home. I mean, it's I might show up for that. Oh no, I'll be out of town. I wish I could show up for that game.
I think that's going to be a heck of an environment, though. I mean,
I wish I could go to that game.
It feels, big Michigan State guy growing up, so I'm sure that'd be an exciting one for you. But.
Yeah, not the biggest Michigan State soccer fan, but just
not the biggest soccer fan, but
go green, go white.
Go green and white.
I do my best, man. Soccer's. I'll say it. Soccer's getting to be a blast.
When
I got to watch Man United
absolutely
lose to Grimsby Town.
Yeah,
and the greatest upset in the history of soccer, apparently, said the British announcers. My buddy's a Man United fan, but that game was probably one of the most electric games I've ever watched.
How many extra point?
I think it was 12.
Yeah,
I think they won in the 12th.
It was 12.
You saw both goalies score penalty.
Yeah.
That's electric.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, some of those games can be crazy. National team games.
Yeah.
If you ever catch one, USA,
I think
Mexico.
Man United was minus 850. And I think Grimsby Town was like plus 2,000 or more.
I will say,
crazy.
I went to quite a few of the soccer games in person just as like a fan last year.
5 times better in person.
It was so much fun to be in that environment, and just you're talking to the goalie and talking to the players as they're down the field every time. Yes,
chirping,
screaming, a little chirping here and there.
It's just it's a fun environment to be in. It's a fun environment to be in. Absolutely,
it is.
I do think that may be the sport to me that translates the most. I've watched it on TV. I can enjoy watching a stream, but I feel like being in person is just a whole nother world. Whereas I'm going to enjoy a football game in person or on the TV. Same with basketball for me personally, but like soccer, it's being there in person. You just feel that energy so much more. You kind of lose to the broadcast, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you got to be able to high five somebody when your team gets a goal.
Yeah,
because you don't know how much is going to happen.
Or like a really great save.
Oh yeah, just the electric stuff. Like corner kicks.
Yes.
Probably top 10 most adrenaline rush moments in
Watching
sports.
That ball fly,
especially late in the game, and like tie game or something like that. You get that corner kick.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much a 50-50 ball every single time.
Yes.
Good stuff.
It's also, you kind of get an appreciation for how it's really all gas, no brakes. There's running constantly. And I feel like you feel
especially the way Bowling Green plays, the men's team plays.
Oh yeah,
all gas all the time.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to see some more of that gas tomorrow when they travel up to Ann Arbor to take on the Michigan Wolverines for a 2 p.m. kickoff. BGFalconmedia.com. As always, we'll have should have a preview already, and we'll have a recap of that game as well. And is Lucas going to be up there on the call?
I believe he said he was traveling up, so I'm assuming. Well, maybe he's just going to rate.
Well, regardless,
I don't know that we're going to have a broadcast.
We will have coverage from Ann Arbor.
It doesn't look like we do have a broadcast for it, but we will have coverage from Ann Arbor, and I'm sure we'll have a social media thread with updates about the game.
Yep.
With that, that's going to conclude the first hour for the Zig Zone. Coming up in the second hour, we've got a lot more. We've got some hot topic conversations, as well as volleyball and women's soccer, and a little bit of a fun wrap of that I've got on deck to keep you guys on your toes. So we're going to step away for station identification, but when we come back, there's a whole other hour of content. So don't go anywhere, because you're still listening to the Zig Zone on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Are you a fan of BG Falcon Media and the Falcon Media Sports Network? You can show your support for BGSU student media by donating at the bottom of the page of stories on bgfalconmedia.com.
Hi, this is Tom Hamilton, voice of the Cleveland Indians. You're listening to all the high-flying action of Falcon Sports on 88.1 WBGU.
Did you know Falcon Media Sports Network has video highlights of BGSU athletic events? To see all the moments from your favorite BGSU teams and athletes, head over to the BG Falcon Media YouTube channel or view them on bgfalconmedia.com.
Are you a fan of BG Falcon Media and the Falcon Media Sports Network? You can show your support for BGSU student media by donating at the bottom of the page of stories on bgfalconmedia.com.
Welcome back to the Zig Zone on WBGU 88.1 FM. We're at the top of the second hour here. I'm Holden Ruck, as always, joined by Ben Korak, Andrew Smith, and Foster Rostai. And before we get into talking about some more sports, we're going to step away from sports for a minute because it's a long weekend. There's no classes for BGSU tomorrow. And so I want to take a minute to, throw around the room, what do you do with yourself for a long weekend, or what's your go-to? Do you have like a specific plan you kind of spend your long weekend doing? Just kind of chill and enjoy yourself. What are you getting up to on a long weekend?
I'm always chilling. Straight to the Xbox. Straight chilling. Straight to the Xbox to play basketball. Whether that's getting on my old Xbox 360 and getting on NCAA Basketball 10 with my Dynasty, or the new 2K that comes out every year and playing that like a degenerate.
Fair enough.
The fact that you're still getting the new 2K is just...
I'm never not going to buy it.
The only basketball game I consistently respect and recognize is NBA Jam for the 360.
All right.
NBA Jam rules.
That's fair.
NBA Jam stays consistent.
I'm holding out hope for EA to get that college basketball game.
That would pull me back in, I won't lie.
Rock, dude.
Playing March Madness.
Oh my gosh. The 64-team bracket in that game. You could just constantly just be playing
new
simulations
games,
of that.
Absolutely.
About a year ago, I got a copy.
Taking Virginia Commonwealth or something and going all the way to
Imagine they make some sort of
my goodness.
Like those tournaments that Call of Duty used to do back in 2019, 2020, where they did a bracket of 8 different teams matches. They filled out an online thing of 64 teams, everybody playing.
Yeah,
that would be
so
the
sick.
online dynasty.
But that's a good idea. So EA will put it in the game.
How much degeneration would that spawn?
Horrible.
Worse than the Cardinals would fold as a franchise.
Oh my goodness.
Kyler Murray, we'd never see him ever again.
He would be gone.
Yeah, but think about how many hours you'd have to play to finish a 64-team bracket. Even if you did I don't even know.
Even if you
2-minute quarters,
right?
Just still, how many games is that? Plus, how long you have to just sit there wait for other games to be done to see what the seeding is.
Yeah. And
that would be sick.
It'd be so much. It'd be a month-long tournament,
dude.
obviously.
That'd be so sick. Think about how many streamers would come from that.
Oh my god!
I've played college football, multiple seasons of an online dynasty. That takes a long time too.
Yes, absolutely. Those Call of Duty tournaments I'm talking about, they would the prize would literally just be a charm for in game or something.
It's not about the prize. Come on, man.
I know, but I played those tournaments for it'd be 2 hours and be 8 teams in the tournament, and the games would just go you could go to overtime in those games, and you would just be sitting there waiting for teams to finish.
How many times are you and your buddies, like we just mentioned, Labor Day weekend, just not doing anything? You're sitting there and be like, "Yo, let's the 8 of us hop on a 64 team winner doesn't have to pay, and we'll go out to dinner."
Yeah,
that's so sick, dude.
But also imagine the online dynasty for a college basketball game. How many teams you get to pick from.
And I think the majority of the hype behind NCAA football was it was a shtick because it was college. You don't get any college. College basketball, just for the nature of having college teams in it, is sick.
Yeah.
Like you could take Drake to the Final Four. Like that's sick.
You could rebuild the Dunk City Florida Gulf Coast team.
Exactly,
You
dude.
could take St. Peter's from a couple years.
Man,
you could take so
Loyola
many,
Chicago.
Loyola Chicago.
Yeah. Especially if they did it right and they brought in the traditions and
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Man.
And that's all like
senior team cutting down the net. And
it'd be so much fun.
Yeah, that would be so sick.
There's a lot they could do with that. And I'd be really excited.
And what was the question again?
What do you do? For me, I've just been hanging out with friends. There's not really, it's first week of classes, so I haven't had a lot of work to do. I mean, obviously, college football's back, so we've been watching that. And I was not very happy with how college football turned out for me this weekend. But
I wonder why.
Ain't nothing but the Tide, baby.
Everything but the Tide, apparently.
Big Tide guy over here.
Yeah. It did not go well. We won't talk about it.
Tide.
I got tired of seeing the
Tomahawk chop.
I got tired of seeing the Tomahawk after the first quarter. But hey, Florida State played a great game. They're trying to bounce back after a 2-win season last year, and honestly, they might do it. The quarterback is
Tommy Castellanos.
so much better.
He's no DJU. He's
so
a lot
much
better.
Yeah. But outside of college football, just chilling. Probably same as Foster. I've been gaming a little bit. Not NBA 2K because I haven't gotten a 2K game since 20 or 21.
The trick is to wait till one's like almost a year old, and then it's like $5 on like the online store.
Yeah, well, that's what I did. That's what I did with 21. I waited.
Foster's just
2K20
like,
was the last.
Chomping at the bit to play with the new rookies every year. Like,
oh no!
What do you mostly play?
I play my team and my career. So I'll do like a build a player, and then I'll play. I have a group of friends who play it with. Like,
he's got like an 8'4" point guard that just like windmill dunks on everybody.
No, it's a 7'1" center,
Bowling Green State. 7'1" center.
7'1" center, paint playing center, rebounds and defense.
You're holding it down in the paint for everybody. That's commendable.
Block
I mean,
that's so funny.
It would be really fun to create a full team that was just Bowling Green players.
It would be, yeah.
Like from last year, that was just like you design all the guys, make a 5-man team of all BG guys.
Oh, that would be really fun. Yeah,
that would be a good time.
With like the proper OVRs and like the builds and the speed, and that would be sick.
What would be Marcus Johnson's speed?
my fault. I'm like, in concept, I'm with you.
Oh my gosh.
Ben, how are you spending your long weekend?
I spent the majority of it in the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport, unfortunately. And I'm going to spend probably the rest of it preparing for the next week of Bowling Green volleyball games. Because they play Kansas, Purdue, and Georgia Tech, who are all three very good volleyball teams. Got to prepare for all three. The good thing is I miss class every single day this week.
Oh.
So I'm not going to be in class a single day this week. Dang. Good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. I emailed professors. Only like one of them emailed me back, so hopefully they got it. But if any of my professors are listening, I'm going to be gone for all 4 days we have class this week. But yeah, that, and then kind of on the similar vein, sports guy, I'll play NHL. NHL 26 is coming out pretty soon. I'm stoked for the hockey season. The hockey season coming up should be an absolute blast. Hoping the Wings are better. Doubt they will be, but we'll see. But still, playing the game is fantastic. I love Chell with all my heart. I'll play it all the time.
Yeah.
And then we can extend it to like Memorial Day or something when GTA 6 comes out. I will be grinding GTA 6.
Oh my goodness!
I watched the preview. I was hype as all get out for it. I'm a big GTA guy.
I mean,
GTA 6.
Battlefield 6 was fantastic.
Really
the beta was fantastic.
Really yeah,
I have not had that much fun playing a Battlefield game since Battlefield 1, so I'm really excited for that.
I'm excited about that one too. I saw it. I was out of town for the first weekend.
The fact that they added in the dragging revives from BattleBit was hilarious to me.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what
we're getting out of my realm too. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I stick to like sports and like Red Dead Redemption and GTA.
There was a stint where my friends
I touch grass once in a while.
Whoa!
I'm kidding.
I play
really.
2K all day.
It's been a while since I took a sports game seriously. My friends and I went through a stint of playing a lot of CFB 25, my team.
Fair enough.
But beyond that, I haven't really touched them. I enjoy every time I play, but I just miss the days that I didn't have to,
pay taxes.
Be ultra.
You still don't have to, Foster.
That's true. I don't. I forgot about that part.
I mean, like, I miss the days of not having to be ultra competitive in a 2K game. I miss it was more of an arcade thing.
I'm not gonna lie. I will be playing the Red Wings on. I don't even know what it's called. Oh no, it's my own player. It's on like Road to the Show or whatever it's called on NHL. I will get so competitive.
Yeah.
Like I'll actually like stand up and start celebrating when I score a goal.
Yeah.
Like I just play to win way too much. It's kind of bad because then I'll lose and then I'll get like pissed.
Yeah.
And then I'll sign off and like go cry in my bed or something like that. But
I played a lot.
Lost to Toronto the other day, 5-4. Brutal loss, man. Brutal. Ruined the perfect season actually. I was chasing it and couldn't get it. Toronto got me.
The last couple long weekends, I've definitely spent a good portion playing college football with my roomies, just because it's like the easiest go-to, like really, rubbing each other's faces when you win. And this weekend, I'm probably just gonna try to like clean out the pantry a little bit, be a little productive before we start back up Tuesday and have to get back to being productive. So
yeah. You don't have to.
You really don't have to.
No, I don't have to.
We just start up Tuesday. You don't have to be productive.
Well,
You wait till like third to last week of the semester for that.
You may be onto something. The Ben Correct approach.
Yeah.
Well, that's enough of that. We will go ahead and move back to the sports. The reason the show's on the airwaves today. And we're gonna go ahead and talk about volleyball. And I'm not gonna open with like a question, Ben. I want you to just talk about opening weekend because you were there. So here's your moment to shine, buddy. You've been waiting for hour 12.
Yeah, ups, downs, everything you could imagine from this weekend. The biggest thing to note is that the entire coaching staff this weekend was brand new. Alex Del Piombo, new head coach of Bowling Green in her first year, did not travel with the team, so didn't see the first 3 matches live in person. I believe she did watch all of them, and she still had input on all of them, just didn't travel with the team. I've been told that she is going to travel with the team to West Lafayette this week at the home of Purdue. For Kansas, Purdue, and Georgia Tech. But she was not there. It was Chelsea Carter, Alexa Wharton, Lucas Pitlack, and Dominic Bennett that was all there. Things went insanely smooth, in my opinion. Like, the operation of the team, I don't believe has changed almost at all. It's just new faces leading it now, which I think is very powerful and a testament to the upperclassmen, Lauren Hovey, Belle Albee, Amanda Otten as well. All the upperclassmen is just like, it's the same team as it was last year, and almost everything has changed on the coaching side. So that's just such an impressive thing to see. The gameplay, obviously they can't start undefeated. They can't win them all. They did have a pretty poor game against North Dakota State. I'm sure, if you listen to Chelsea Carter talk to us after the game on the broadcast on WBGU, on this radio station, actually, she said there wasn't a whole lot that they did well. They just couldn't really get much going offensively, couldn't get the blocking going as well as they would like. The first match that they played against Temple was not very good, but Bowling Green did play better. Their passing was not strong, but their offense and their swinging was doing enough just to pick up the bad passing a little bit. That North Dakota State game, it really kind of proved that everything's going to revolve around how well they're swinging, how well Lauren Hovey's swinging, how well the middles are doing. Obviously, still without Jessica Andrews, still playing for Team Canada, but it's going to be run through how the swingers, because the passing was pretty pristine in a North Dakota State game, and they really couldn't get too much done offensively. And then they really put it all together for St. Mary's. First 2 sets, pretty dominant for Bowling Green. Really didn't look like they were going to even concede a set. Did have an 8-point lead and conceded it in the 3rd set, and then came back from a 7-point deficit in the 4th, come all the way back and win in 4 sets against St. Mary's. So they're still searching for a sweep. Probably not going to get it in the next week, maybe 2 weeks, because of how insanely difficult their schedule is, the toughest in the MAC. But I think a productive first weekend. 2 wins, 2-1 now on the season. Learned a good bit about the team, and it's only going to get better, especially with Jessica Andrews coming back.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of it, especially in that North Dakota State game, they hurt themselves most of that way through. They made a lot of errors, like you said, but there wasn't too much that they did well. But I do feel like the like obviously the mistakes that they're making are very fixable, but in addition to that, like the things that they struggle with right now on the defensive side with their serve receive is the thing that I've noticed the most, and also with the positioning, they struggled a little bit with, they have strayed away from having 2 to 3 defensive specialists on the floor, and leaned more into having Eddie or Hobson or Lauren Hovey.
It's a much more powerful lineup.
Yeah, and they definitely like are leaning into that back row attack. This weekend I saw a lot of that, which I love because I think it just opens up the offense so much more, and it doesn't I feel like it allows Amanda Otten as the setter to never feel like she's trapped into setting one person, and that she has options at all times. So the things that they are struggling with right now are very fixable as the season goes on, and I think that serve receive will be and their positioning on defense will be much improved and at a level where they are going to be very strong in that, not very strong in that regard, but strong enough where the offense is going to look a lot better once they get into MAC play because the defense has gotten just strong enough to like hold them there.
Yeah, I think you mentioned like playing a more powerful lineup. I do in theory like it, but I haven't been able to see it. They've only played 3 matches, but it hasn't worked necessarily yet. Because I think St. Mary's, which is their best overall match of the week, they played defensive specialists more often. There was quite a few times on the floor, actually, where Sydney Hernandez, the libero, was on the floor, but then also some combination of Belle Albee, Avery Anders, and Olivia Brown. Olivia Brown, the freshman, but Belle Albee, very experienced and kind of coming in as a serve specialist now, does a lot in that regard. And Avery Anders saw her first match against St. Mary's as well. And I thought they looked a lot... I wouldn't say stronger necessarily, but they looked cleaner because the first touches were a lot cleaner. They were just better quality first touches. Now maybe that was skewed by them just playing a better game and just being a little bit more confident in what they were doing. But that's just how I felt about it. I felt like Amanda had a fantastic game against St. Mary's as well. The stat sheet didn't really record it too much. She had 28 assists, but she set very well. She was pretty consistent. She was great blocking, which is the first time this season through the exhibition match and the 3 matches that they played. That was the first time that she actually had engagement in the blocking, and it was unbelievable. They were Wilford and Hovey and Amanda and whoever she happened to be standing next to was lethal. So I really enjoyed watching that. And I think for the future as well, Olivia Brown looked pretty strong. Kendall Williams, I was so impressed with how she played. Great blocking, efficient attacking. The middles are essentially brand new from last year because Jess is not back yet, Jessica Andrews. So Wilford hasn't played since 2023, and Kendall Williams is brand new to NCAA volleyball. And they're, let me look here. Where is it? I mean, they had 10 kills combined and a pretty high hitting percentage against St. Mary's.
Yep.
So and good blocking as well. I mean, you're only a step back from your insane duo of Alexis Mattil and Jessica Andrews last year. And one of those 2 players, Wilford or Williams, is not going to get a lot of playing time the rest of the year, barring injury, knock on wood. So they're in just such a good place right now. And we're not going to be able to appreciate it really over the next 2 weeks because they have 4 insanely tough matches in a row. But they're in a fantastic place for when they go into MAC play. I think. I just think they're set up very well.
Yeah, I think by the time MAC play rolls around, they're going to look a lot more explosive. I think the offense is going to, from the back row, is going to come around. I really like utilizing the 5-1 to its fullest potential. I was just more under the impression, going into the season, before I saw the exhibition and before I saw the matches this weekend, that the DSs were going to get to hit those back row attacks more so than just the front row attackers going into the back row and receiving and then also attacking. I thought it was going to be more of we are still going to try to be a little more defense oriented because we were this team was the worst in the MAC in digs, which is kind of a testament to how good the blocking was, but also you that can happen. And the way to combat that is not more offense. It's a focus on serve receive. It's a focus on defensive positioning and just being able to pick up balls and give Amanda Otten a chance to have options on the court when she's setting.
Yeah, what they're hoping, and I think what we're seeing a little bit, Avery Hobson, if you look at her stats from Duquesne before she transferred, and both last year and in her career, she had more total digs than she had total kills.
Yep.
She's a very good back row player. Has got to a little bit of a cold start, but I think by the time you get around a MAC play, she might be a player that you maybe not use as a back row attack, but you can start her on that back row on serve receive. She's a very solid defensive player. You might even be able to drop her back after swings once in a while to play back there because she's solid. And then you have on the floor 1-2 defensive specialists at a time. Lauren Hovey can play defense very well.
Absolutely.
Amanda Otten led one of the matches this weekend, and Diggs, she's a very solid defensive player. I think it might be a little bit of a stretch to ask your DSs to start contributing offensively.
Yeah.
But I've yet to see necessarily the 2 outside hitter system work in full. And
I think I agree
it's
with you.
just first week jitters maybe, and it might work long term. I trust them to make a judgment call on that. They like to swing. They like to mash. I love watching them mash.
I think it's going to be probably what they're going to come into in the season is, I wonder if this is more like a test run thing. I think what it's going to sort of become is one attacker going to the back row so they can run a back row attack, but also having Sydney Hernandez, the libero, and then the defensive specialist, somebody on the court at all times, because the back row is always just been the weakness of this team last season, and now going into this one, the matches we've seen, the back row is the weakness, but also the front row is so good that it carries them through. It's just, in order for me to get behind seeing Avery Anders or Olivia Brown or Bella Lauby playing, seeing them more in the back row, getting more minutes, I need to see them play to the point where a defensive specialist should be. They should be getting balls that an attacker can't get. They should be hustling to everything, and I shouldn't on serve receive, that it should not be a struggle for Otten to get to the ball. That can't happen, especially when you go into MAC play.
Yeah, once in a while it is different, but and you also got to understand, I did this research when we were on the road. The last time Bowling Green had a sophomore libero was in 2019 when Julia Walls was a sophomore. The last time they had a non-senior libero was 2020 when Julia Walls was a junior, and they've had a senior libero with over 3 years of college volleyball experience every year since then. So you're asking a sophomore to step into a spot that you can almost take for granted what Lindsay LaPinta and Alex LeBoy did the last 2 years, because they had so much experience. They had been a defensive specialist, just a flat defensive specialist for a couple of years, then got their opportunity to be libero, already had a leadership role, and you're asking sophomore Sydney Hernandez, that is a fantastic player, and you're asking her to take the responsibility of somebody that has 2 more years of experience, arguably, than she does. I think that's very difficult, and I definitely agree with you that it's, that the game of volleyball all rotates from that first touch. It's all from that back row. If you don't get a clean first touch, you don't get a clean second, and you don't get a clean third.
It is all reliant on that serve receive.
100%.
You can't get anything going if you can't serve receive.
Yeah, and I wonder a little bit if the parity and the hitters as well, they're playing 2 of them all the time just to see who's going to be their left side one and who's going to be their left side 2.
Yeah.
And maybe later in the season you see 2 defensive specialists on the floor more often, and you see kind of like what we saw last year, Hobson or Edita Vaswashik filling in for where Mia Tyler was, and then you have her a middle and a right side.
Yeah.
And you have 3 fantastic arms when Jess Andrews is on the floor. And Kendall Williams had good offensive output. Helen Wilford looked pretty solid.
I think
so much depth. There's so many options that you're using this time to figure out who you're going to use. That's a good problem.
I just really don't know where to go with Kendall Williams versus Wilford. Like, I don't know who's going to be the two middle, because on one hand, Wilford arguably has been playing worse. She played very well in that third match, but the first two she looked very unsure. The blocking was not there, and she also made a couple mistakes of just that are just like you just can't make at a D1 level like that in a game. But at the same time, she has like prior experience. Like, Kendall Williams is like, being a freshman, just doesn't have the experience D1 that Wilford has. And like I said, Wilford stepped it up in that third game. Her blocking was much better. Her attacking was much more accurate. She looked like she had settled in and had a lot more confidence.
And then the problem was, so did Kendall Williams. She also had a bump game.
So it becomes like, do you go with the young person with probably more potential, or do you go with Wilford, who is a little more
how great of a problem? How great of a problem is that to be able to have that conversation? I think just based on what I saw watching in person, Kendall Williams seems like more of an explosive player for sure. Like, she's going to get the big kills. She's going to get everybody jazzed up. You know, she's going to get the stuff blocks. She's already got 3 solo blocks this season. Wilford's only got 1. But Helen is just like, every ball that's swung with her in front of it gets slowed down in some regard. Yeah. You know, she's not as quick with the feet, but always seems to be in the right location. She is able to find the open spot on the floor almost every time when you give her a free swing. Like, you just put it perfectly that, like, would you rather have, you know, a flat line of Helen Wilford, or would you rather have highs and maybe some lows of a freshman middle blocker?
And I think that's honestly,
that's the beauty of it, because you're gonna pencil Jessica Andrews into that. So and you could even rotate if you really want to as well.
And I feel like Jessica Andrews can be, like, obviously she can help Wilford with just her flat out experience, and now playing overseas for Team Canada, she can help with that with both of them. But I really feel like she's going to be more of a mentor to a freshman who plays a lot like she does. Like, they are both very explosive, both great solo blockers. Kendall Williams, she doesn't have Andrews' height, but she makes up for it. She has very good instincts, and she jumps out of the gym.
She's very athletic.
Very, very athletic player. And I feel like Wilford, you put it perfectly, she doesn't, and Coach Del Piombo talked about this too, she doesn't do the flashy things, but she does everything with, like, she does everything the same way every time. She's consistent, and she affects every single play that she's involved in.
Yeah. And how valuable is just slowing down every ball that comes across the net? And how much do you make the job of the back row easier when they know they might be able to take a step in when Helen's in the game, because she's going to slow it down some. And that's just a very valuable thing to have. So, I mean, you think about it through this whole team as we wrap up here, the only position that's really set in stone on who it's going to be is a setter in Lauren Hovey. Yeah. And everywhere else, you have defensive specialist questions, you have outside hitter questions, you have middle blocker questions.
And I do want to comment, because you talked about it earlier, I am not worried about Sydney Hernandez. I think she will step up and be completely fine. She has the confidence, she has the poise, she is going to be totally fine. Once she gets a couple more games under her belt, she'll be ready to go. Especially these big games coming up, she'll realize what these Big Ten Power 4 conference, like, what these hitters look like from the libero position. She'll be good.
Yesterday, after 2 plane delays, sitting there in the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport, she was still sitting there on her laptop watching film.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on.
She's going to be phenomenal. She's going to.
I wasn't even doing prep work, and she was watching film. Like, come on. She was already a step ahead of me. So, they're in such a good spot. Hi, Holden. We haven't talked to you in a while.
Feels like a great problem to have. I think looking into the season, you could have been asking about replicating lost production from last year, and now it's more of a conversation of, like, just who's doing it better, not who can step to the plate, but just who's better.
Yeah, it's not who's doing it well; it's who's doing it better.
Loads of inches, it feels like, and what a great problem
and
to have.
It's also a great thing of, like, you have the attackers, and you also now with the freshmen you have the depth of defensive specialists to be like. If somebody's having that off game, you can put somebody else in and not have to worry.
And you almost had that last year too, and you just added to it. So,
good spot to be in. A lot of tough competition in this short term here, and they love that as much as any team at Bowling Green. So I'm excited. You look ahead. I mean, this week you've got Kansas, Purdue, Georgia Tech. Following week Indiana, Stephen F. Austin, Loyola, Chicago, Oakland, and then September 19th, you got Michigan State. I mean, you're going up against some real powerhouses here for really, like, you know, better part of a month. So I'm really excited, but that's going to start first with the Stacey Clark Classic in West Lafayette, Indiana, hosted by Purdue, and they're going to take on Kansas, Purdue, and Georgia Tech on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, respectively. First one of those matches being against Kansas this Wednesday, September 3rd at 3 p.m. And Ben, you're going to be on that?
I am indeed going to be on that. 15 minutes prior to game time is when our pregame will start on WBGU 88.1 FM. And just to set the premise for this week as well, Kansas currently ranked number 14th before the poll comes out tomorrow. Kansas ranked number 14th, Purdue ranked number 15th, and Georgia Tech ranked number 22nd. So all three opponents ranked.
That's crazy.
How insane is that?
Electric. It's going to be some good volleyball. And enjoy people. I think people dunk on Indiana too easily, but West Lafayette, very nice. So definitely
I've heard it's a nice place. Yeah.
We'll move on from volleyball as we've got one more primary sport in season to talk about, and that's going to be women's soccer, who has had some success. And I think you have to look at the positives when you come out of a draw. Part of the simplistic part of me kind of just turns my brain off and is like, oh, that's boring when I see a draw as a result. But, I think you also look at it's a 0-0 draw, and that means they posted a shutout, which is, very much speaks to the success in this early season of sophomore Peyton O'Malley stepping in for former goalkeeper Madison Vukas last season and kind of taking on the mantle this year as well. And Foster, Andrew, I'm going to turn over to you guys a little bit because I know you were both able to watch some of the game. Take me through, a little bit of what you saw today from the game against Cincinnati.
Very physical, both sides. I mean, that's a Big 12 team. They played an extremely physical brand of soccer. There was a lot of pushing. There's a lot of shoving. It's a physical soccer match that the refs let go. That's fine. They were letting them play a lot that game. That. Very nice to see.
And they I feel like they called it. They called both ways very well.
Yes, they were very good on the calls when there was a call to
O'Malley,
be made.
New goalkeeper that you talk about, she played, I think, phenomenal today.
7 saves, I believe.
She had one diving
Game
to her
saving.
right that she got a hand on, knocked out of bounds. That was really impressive. I felt like defensively, this is the song that you're typically going to sing for women's soccer. Is defensively they were phenomenal. They just could not get shots on goal. They felt very inaccurate at times. I felt like they had their opportunities to score more so than Cincinnati did, if we're being honest, and just could not capitalize. But defensively and with a new goalkeeper, looked great.
They had a really good opportunity within the first 5 minutes of the game, a pass right through in the front of the box. But Cincinnati goalkeeper made a great save, diving across her body to keep the score 0-0. And it's those small opportunities that they don't connect on. If you're Bowling Green, that you lose, or in this case, you tie a Pac-12 or
especially when your team is built on
Big 12 opponent.
Especially when your team is built on defense, where we're waiting for it to get into our half. We're gonna control the ball. We're gonna control the pace, and we're gonna just take the opportunities when they come. When you get those opportunities, you need to score. As opposed to men's soccer, which is just all gas, no brakes. We are going to score at any given opportunity, even if it's the smallest chance. We're going to push the ball up the field. Women's soccer is the opposite approach of let the game come to us. And if you're not taking the opportunities you get every game and scoring off them, you're going to draw most games.
Yeah.
But it is reassuring to me to see against, Big 12 competition,
to
see the team go in and have that draw. And in particular, in the manner of a clean sheet, because I think I'd rather see 0-0 versus 1-1 because I think that your style, Chris Fox's style of ball is highly reliant on that defensive performance, and I think what area you need to shore up, and that's not necessarily new for this team either. I mean, if you look at last year, a couple of draws in the same way, a couple of blowouts in the same way, where they just can't find that offensive production. But, if they're able to, just shore it up, really capitalize on the one or two really good opportunities they get a game, and you're, putting up a clean sheet, that's all you need. It's one or two.
On Thursday this past week, they put up 4 goals on Detroit Mercy in Detroit. So, when they can score, it's just a relative of, are they going to be able to? Yeah, are they going to be able to do this consistently?
I was going to say it's easier competition, but it feels like not even that. It feels like they can generate consistency, but they just feel like they have the players to do it.
Oh, they do.
Like Ella Kane looks pretty good. Ellie Poole had 2 goals against UAD Mercy. Emma Stransky's got a goal. Gabby Lamparty's got a goal. I mean, the scoring's been there, and it's not been like they've been chipping away. Like so and so scores here, so and so scores there. Like a couple of names have Ellie Poole scored twice. Emma Stransky's scored twice. Ella Kane's been threatening. She got a goal and an assist. Like that's multiple players that have kind of maybe started to buy into the system a little bit more. Yeah. Maybe started to figure it out a little bit more. You're seeing more offense and kind of like the reverse we talked about men's soccer. Maybe men's soccer you got to focus on the defense a little bit more. You just got to do that for the offense for women's soccer. And I mean, I don't doubt that they can put it all together. You know the kind of players that they have and the way Fox does his business.
And this is a program, too, that has been, trying to find its identity. Obviously, Chris Fox, not been in Bowling Green an awful long time. And to foreshadow a little bit, our next one-on-one in the Zig Zone for next week's episode is with Taylor Green. And when I talked to Taylor, she spoke on a number of things, stepping into her role as a junior captain, a leader for this team that, needs to find identity. But one thing that she really touched on is like the team is aware of where their expectation is, and they're a lot more bought in this year because they're not adapting to Chris Fox's system. He was new last year, and I mean it was complete change, complete turnover for a lot of players, and for some players that had already been at Bowling Green, it wasn't that smooth, frankly. But coming into this year, they've had that year under their belt. They know where kind of the standard and expectations are from Coach Fox, and it feels as though they're a lot more primed to kind of settle into playing the kind of soccer that they want to play, and I think that only bodes positively. And like I said, a 0-0 draw is not flashy. Nobody's pretending that. Yeah. But when you look at the quality of opponent, you look at the fact that you didn't allow a goal. I think there's truly a lot of optimism to draw from that.
And just in the larger picture as well, going from last year to this year, anybody that, in the current state of college athletics, anybody that didn't want to be in Chris Fox's system doesn't necessarily have to be in Chris Fox's system. So maybe you had enough turnover from last year to this year to where the people that stayed around understand that it could probably and probably will work long term, and they're willing to buy into it. And that might also be the thing, that you just have more people on the pitch at any given time that just believe that they can do it. And that's a powerful thing as well. Half of any sport, 90% of any sport is mental anyway. Yeah. So you got that mentality right, and you got 90% of the battle won already.
Yeah. I also think that I don't know, like just from today of what I saw against a team of Cincinnati who was much bigger than them physically, they played, like, Cincinnati wanted to play physical, Bowling Green matched that. Like, they played physical with them the whole time. They played with more hustle than Cincinnati did, like, the whole game, because they know that that's a better team than them. That's a bigger program than them, and I feel like they recognized that, and in order to match it, hustled more, played more physical, and especially in the defensive end. And I feel like that bodes well just as, like, for the program, because now that you got the players, you got Chris, like, you got Fox's system into place, like, you're kind of building what's going to be the brand for this team, what's going to be the style, what's going to be the culture. And I think it seems to be, like, yes, defensive oriented, but also, like, a lot of hustle plays, because in order to make those plays on offense, they're going to need to be hustle plays.
Yeah, and that's the only way you have to play. When you go up against these bigger schools, they have the better facilities, they have all these other things at their disposal. You're going to have to out-hustle them, you're going to have to outplay them. The two schools they played from Power 4 college levels, Illinois, Cincinnati, 1 goal between the 2 games. That defense is there.
Defense wins championships, baby.
That offense will fall into line. It's just a matter of time. The looks they've got were fine. Yeah. They had plenty of run and opportunity to have more shot attempts. It'll start to fall in line sooner than later, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty reasonable expectation. If you're consistently holding a team, your opponent, to 0 or 1 goals, I mean, I think a lot of programs expect to be able to. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty. It's whatever. Right.
You might win a few games here and there.
But yeah, I'm really excited to see how they raise the bar. It feels like, I think it's safe to say that, the people who are at BG for this team want to be here.
Yeah.
And I think that's only a strength for them coming into this season, second season under Coach Fox. And yeah, I'm excited to see where they go. This week, they'll travel to Moon Township, Pennsylvania, which is a location that I just read for the first time, as they play Robert Morris. It'll be a 4 p.m. kickoff on Thursday.
That's such a cool name, Moon Township.
Yeah, that's a great name.
It's a lot cooler of a name than Robert Morris.
That rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have done something with the moon.
Yeah, it's like
For
Moon
a college
Township,
name.
and then it's just some dude's name.
Yeah.
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 I feel the same way about like Sam Houston.
Duquesne rocks, though.
Duquesne does rock.
Great name.
Duquesne's a great name.
Yeah.
Whom they play Sunday, September 7th at 1 p.m. at Cochran Stadium.
Next Sunday, 1 p.m., we'll certainly have
It's a quick turnaround for a couple games too.
That is, yeah. But then they have a full week off before they get to their first MAC opponent, which, by the way, Kent State, Ohio, and Western Michigan all in the top 5 of Mid-American Conference preseason poll. So they start hard. They start very difficult, and then at the end of the season as well, they have Buffalo and UMass.
Yeah,
who are also
really,
very difficult teams.
A really tough start to the schedule, taking on, like you said, Kent State, Ohio, Western Michigan over the span of a week. I mean, that's going to be really a tall order for them. But, I mean, I think you're going to learn a lot very quickly.
Yeah, you play a one-score game against Illinois. You play a no-score game against Cincinnati. Who's to say
suddenly
that you
those
can't...
top MAC teams don't seem so
I know,
daunting.
and then you get one goal against each of those teams, and you're in pretty good shape. You draw some, you win
draw
some
against Illinois, then you beat
exactly.
Cincinnati.
If you're not giving up goals, you're not going to lose a lot of games. It's probably going to be quite a few draws, but if you're not losing,
and it's like here's where the comparison starts between the two soccers too, is like men's soccer. You feel like you might need 2-3 goals to win a game.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 2 is more reasonable, but women's soccer you need 1.
Yeah,
like you needed 1 against Cincinnati to beat a Big 12 school.
Yeah,
you needed 1 to tie Illinois, which is a Big 10 school.
And they had the opportunities
to
do
did.
that in both those games.
And it's early in the season still.
Yeah.
And they can still put those in. But
and they've proven that, they've proven against teams like Detroit Mercy, where they are putting up goals. It's possible for them to do it. They just probably just need more time to do it against better teams.
A lot to look forward to here. I can't believe the MAC plays. I know we've got a couple games still, but it feels like it's right around the corner. And I've been itching for some conference play in any sport, to be honest.
It feels like women's soccer is always earlier than every other sport in MAC play.
They did get started.
I don't know if that's true.
They just started in general their season.
It feels
earlier.
like it was last year too that they got started in MAC play before everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 17 days since their season opener.
Yeah, they started on the 14th of August.
So they
do
start
have
early.
quick turnaround.
They start pretty early. Yeah.
I'm just excited for some action. Get some action.
That's where
going.
I'm at, dude. It's
action, baby.
quite literally the best, and I'm pretty pumped for any sport getting into that MAC play. It just always feels different. It just means more, is what they're saying. That's what I hear that they're saying.
I don't feel like conference games. Real talk. I don't feel like conference games in the Big 10 and the Big 12 feel as important as MAC games do to MAC opponents.
I think there's a couple games
like outside of football, especially.
Right.
You can separate from football. I just feel like MAC games mean
they're so
it's
much
just
fun.
like everybody's so close together in talent.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
it just feels like it.
Close together in talent, and
bigger
most of them
schools
close together in
bigger
proximity.
schools don't wait the entire non-conference for their non-conference is on their slate the whole time. They know they're probably going to win the vast majority of their non-conference schedule.
Yeah.
Whereas you're grinding through your non-conference schedule to get to MAC play. It's just such a good feeling when you get to that point that you see Mid-American Conference opponents.
Yeah, you go from playing a Big 12 school to you're dropping it in Kent State.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Cincinnati's playing Bowling Green, and then they're going to go play, Pitt in a couple weeks. And
yeah.
And part of the allure to me is any team that could be like a bottom feeder in the conference could still have hands on a given day in those conference games.
Thank you, NIU last season.
Good Lord, Evansville won the Missouri Valley Conference, and they were 4th or 5th? We finished the schedule. We're not on anybody's radar. And that's not the MAC. But
NIU beats Western Central Michigan to get Bowling Green into the March Madness tournament.
Crazy is that?
MAC wins
on an accidental
alley-oop make shot.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Real talk, watching that simultaneously with the hockey playoff game is like a top one experience the last year for me, dude. I had that pulled up on my phone. We called Andrew and I.
Yes.
Yeah, we
watched,
called the basketball game BG's game
Remember
where they
that.
lost to Central.
They lost. It was a Western.
Western.
No, they lost to Western.
Michigan.
Right.
Because they
Last
could have
game of
closed
the
it
game.
out there.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
It was Central that lost.
when we got off the call, I immediately just ran over to the Slater because I wanted to catch the end of the hockey game.
I think
with the NIU game on my phone. And
I was listening to it in the car on the way home.
I was
Oh my gosh.
I was watching NIU in the post-game room waiting for press conference with all the players watching.
What was crazy to me was the most crazy part of that game to me was the walk-on that came in, standing at like
I think the walk-on's the one who hit the shot.
He hit a couple of shots.
He hit a couple of them in a row.
Who?
There was a walk-on
that came in. He was like 5'9", 5'10".
I thought it was James Dent.
I don't think it was James.
I thought it was that 3-point guy. I don't remember for sure.
That
was like a magical
It was
like men's basketball lucked out, and then hockey had the
got
overtime.
done.
The overtime Quinn Emerson goal.
And
Was just
the NIU game that ended up sealing basketball's spot was like double overtime, I think.
Yep.
yeah. I remember Kyle
yes, it
saying
was.
that. I remember Kyle saying that like the team was all watching it on his laptop
They
in
were
the locker
watching it
room.
in the locker room.
Like they just
We were
wanted to see
watching
what
it.
happened.
Yeah, we were all watching it in different places, waiting for the
Understandably.
outcome.
I mean, you can't do an interview until you know.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
That's what we
Yeah.
said. We're like, we
Like,
can't do anything because if they.
Hey, Coach Simon, how do you feel about maybe this happening, but also maybe this happening?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
gotta
exactly
wait.
how much, like what percent of your shirt is currently sweated through, right?
Yeah,
Oh, man. That wraps up the women's soccer talk. I really want to touch on kind of two takeaways from cross country who also opened their season on Friday running at the Michigan Open. Number one, the women's team still really, really good. You know, they competed against Michigan, Akron, Toledo, and Siena Heights. Toledo and Akron did not, run like full strength squads. I don't think most cross country teams really run like their optimal squad early season. But you had a MAC runner up in track season, Rachel Withrow, lead the team with third place finish, 17:44 in the 5K, and that's pretty far out of the realm of anything she's done on the cross country course.
17:44.
Think about that. You ran cross country back in the day, didn't you, Ben?
Yeah, I never cracked 19. I got like 19:05 was my max. 17:44.
17:44 is fast.
Jeez.
But that's, as a freshman, she was around the bubble of like that kind of top seven. Last year, she kind of closed more into like the 5-ish range. But I mean, really coming into her junior season, putting on a strong performance. You still have the returners: Rachel Hoover, Reese Riemann, Lexi Panning. A trio of sophomores all in the top 5 as well. Really, I mean, really shaping up to be a strong season for them. And then, of course, on the men's side, showings from a number of freshmen, as well as the return of Josh Risco to a cross-country race after a miraculous recovery for him. Can't be overstated how big that is for team morale and for him on a personal level. So,
Holden, I believe I remember seeing that the men's cross-country team was preseason picked last.
The men's
by the
cross-country
MAC.
team was preseason picked last.
Okay, so does this mean that we're looking toward freshmen and newbies a little bit more now, maybe a long-term look over, success this season, or is it a possibility that they finish 4 or 5 places above where predicted?
No, I think this is the kind of team, especially, I think if there were any doubts about Coach Snelling and his impact, I think he pretty well quieted them with just the track resume from last season, back-to-back MAC Coach of the Year for outdoor and indoor. And I think as far as that's concerned, they could outperform that. I wouldn't be shocked if they do place there. But, I mean, if you look up and down the squad, Bryce Weber is I think senior now, but I got to fact check that. But you've got young talent still. Micah Bentley's a junior. Luke Woolard is a junior. Ashton Boyd, Wyatt Ulbricht, Isaac Rubley are all freshmen who were in the top 5 for the Falcons on Friday. So you've got the vast majority of your team and your scorers for Friday are all returners for the next season. As well as, there are some other runners on the roster that we didn't see, Luke Lesueur to name one. So I think it's just early. And if they do place, where that coach's projection had them at last in the MAC, this is a team that's only going to return next season and retool. And I know it's very early to be talking about next season. I mean, they've run one time, but not every program's in the same place. And candidly, you're kind of just focused on getting better first.
It's all going to be the eye test anyway. It's just going to be seeing the improvement that they have, from last year to this year throughout the entire season.
Yeah.
I think that's where you set the basis, especially when you get predicted to finish last in the poll.
Yeah.
So,
For what it's worth, a couple of PRs, Mike Bentley, Luke Woolard, strong races, the return of Josh, as stated. There's a lot of good things to sit on for them, even in, maybe a slate of times and places that don't, pop out to the eye a ton. So it'll be, I think the last couple of years since I've followed the teams, it's been a pretty stark contrast, and it's just kind of, where the teams are at right now. I don't anticipate this season being drastically different in that regard, but it's for the men in particular, it's a big season of personal development. I mean, the women's team is really learning how to compete for a MAC title. That people always cite cross country as, you're racing against yourself. It's a very individualized sport, and I think there's a lot of room for growth from the men's side in that regard, before they're really going to be talking about competing.
For sure.
But I think the framework is there, and I mean, in Snelling we trust, certainly.
Yeah,
so
100%.
So that's my thoughts on that. We're just about to wrap up here, and so I want to throw out something I thought would be fun, and it's a little bit of overreactions or not overreactions. And I know that everybody in the room
Here we go.
is good
We don't
about
have overreactions.
following
Never.
college football. And of course, you know everything about a college football team from one game. Why would you not?
Yeah. We've already decided a champion already.
Okay, so
It's
here's the
Bowling
first
Green.
one. I want you to tell me overreaction or not an overreaction. Arch Manning is not really a good quarterback at all.
I think that's an overreaction. I think that's a huge overreaction.
Not a good quarterback is your claim?
Not a very good quarterback. I'm not saying actively bad, but not elite, not a top guy in the country.
I might disagree with you there.
I think I disagree.
But I don't think he's going to live up to the massive hype that's been put on the Manning name.
Preseason Heisman.
But I don't think he's going to be like junk.
No, he's
because
definitely not.
He's also got a good team around him.
Yeah.
Texas wasn't predicted first just because Arch Manning's on the team.
Yeah.
He's got a good team around him.
Defense is
he's
great.
still not bad. Their defense is unbelievable.
And that's his first ever start.
Yeah.
On the road against the defending national champions.
And the shoe.
And it was
first game of the year.
The day Lee Corso retires as well.
Yeah.
He also played,
and Urban's there.
He also played much better in the fourth quarter. Which I know it's the defense. Yeah, they're letting the underneath plays go. But he had a deep throw in the fourth quarter that he dotted. But I don't know. It's tough to say after one game.
Yeah,
but I don't think he's going to be this complete college bust that. No. I don't know. I don't think it's impossible to live up to the hype that's been put on him.
Yeah.
There's a problem too with this having an Ohio State Texas game first of the year, as that neither team has established themselves yet, so you don't know what they have. But now Texas is already kind of playing from behind because. You drop a game that you probably shouldn't there, you're at 2 losses, and now you're well, shoot, we're a low seed.
Yeah.
And even the 12-team playoff now, they're, the entire season revolves around just that
one loss.
That one loss and Arch Manning's performance, essentially.
Number 2. Alabama's Kalen DeBoer is coaching himself out of a job.
Yes.
Overreaction, not an overreaction.
That's accurate.
I'll let the Alabama
I think there's
guy.
a prestige around Alabama football that's going to coach him out of a job.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I agree with Andrew knows better than all of us.
Absolutely. I the reaction that I've seen from Bama fans, just immediately, if Saban lost a game, they were ready to give him the boot.
Yeah.
And that
didn't happen often.
I think yeah.
It's a different standard, especially in the SEC. You lose a game as a head coach in the SEC, everyone in that state will be saying that you should be fired.
There's hotter seats in my opinion,
yeah.
but he's certainly
moving up there real quick.
Yep, he is.
He is putting himself there very quickly. It's also because I think the prevailing opinion on him now is he just ended up with a very good team in Washington. And also in a lower level conference, essentially is that's
maybe.
The talk.
Could happen.
I mean I know right now, especially the Big Ten is kind of owning the SEC in football, and I say that that's hard for me to say, but it's true. But at the same time, the SEC has the highest standard. Football is still a religious tradition in the SEC, and so he is on a very hot seat. Not the hottest in college football, but by the end of the season, he might be gone.
Third and final overreaction or not an overreaction for you. LSU beats Clemson 17-10 at Clemson. This is the year that Brian Kelly finally wins a meaningful D1 football game.
I don't even know if I want to say yes.
Yeah.
I don't think
Clemson's overrated every year. I mean, come
Accurate.
I agree. For what that's worth.
Like, what was LSU, 9?
LSU was ranked 9. Well, the way I look at it, look at Georgia coming in with Gunnar Stockton.
Wasn't Nussmeier like one of the Heisman favorites?
Yeah, he was.
So you have a team with a Heisman favorite at 9, but Clemson is 4.
He's also
Cade Klubnik was allegedly, but I mean, it did not go particularly well for him.
I just have so much distrust on where they put Clemson.
Yeah.
I'm not personally sold on Brian Kelly.
I don't think anyone's ever sold on Brian Kelly. I think you have him as a football coach to find a better coach after him.
That's such a reasonable point.
I mean, Notre Dame.
That's such a reasonable point.
And also, like, it's weird to it's even weird to be like, oh, Brian Kelly's the head coach of LSU. Like the level of head coaches that LSU's had in the past, to just see Brian Kelly's out there, yeah, I don't know. I think yes, but I don't think it's going to be one of meaning as in
Is it a playoff game or is it a really high-ranked bowl game?
I mean, an SEC championship, I think, would be a meaningful game.
No. I think he wins. I think he wins a playoff game. I think LSU's in the playoffs. They win a playoff game, but I don't think they're not going to be SEC champs. I would stake money on that. They're not going to be SEC champs.
Ain't nothing but the Tide, baby.
It's not going to be the Tide. It's not going to be the Tide.
Ain't going to get it.
We're going to go ahead and leave it at that. It's going to do it for us for this episode of the Zig Zone. As always, to stay engaged with Falcon Media Sports Network content, you can check out bgfalconmedia.com as well as BG Falcon Media on Facebook and Instagram and at BG_FMSN on Twitter X. That's it for us here at the Zig Zone. For Ben Korak, Foster Rostai, and Andrew Smith, I'm Holden Ruck saying good night and Isaac.